What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast for the week of October 4th through the 10th of 2021. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Welcome to this weekly forecast. We definitely have a lot to talk about this week. We are in October. It's a big month astrologically. There's a lot of moving parts. And, we've kind of been in a place astrologically of not a lot of moving parts. I mean, let's be honest, everything's been very stationed and stopped, including Mercury. Mercury's now really picking up the pace here in retrograde. We're going to see that Mercury Cazimi this week with the Sun, and Mars is going to be there. We're going to see a new moon in Libra. That's a beautiful energy that we're coming into Tuesday. But at the same time, it comes with a quincunx to Uranus, and it comes with a conjunction with Mars. Woo! It's spicy. And there is, trines to Saturn, wide but separating. And there's an opposition to Chiron. So, very big new moon energy that we're going to talk about this week. We're also going to see Pluto come direct. Dun, dun, dun. Woo! That's a big one. That Pluto coming direct is a big catalyst. And by the end of the week, we're also going to see Saturn come direct. So we're about ready to get the momentum moving forward. We've been doing a lot of reflecting, a lot of inner work, especially with the Sun and Mars opposite Chiron. We had to, look at some vulnerabilities. We had to kind of get back to in tune with ourselves in a lot of ways and realize how far we've come so that we can see the beauty. And I would say it's very important this week to realize how far you've come. I've been saying that for a while. That's a very strong message right now, is like, you have gotten to this point for a reason and you want to embrace your power. This is a very, potent Chiron time. Chiron's making a lot of aspects. We're going to see even Venus get ready in the next couple weeks to make a trine. Venus is also going to come into Sagittarius. That's going to be a big vibe shift because this Venus in Scorpio has been sharing reception with Mars. And you know what? It took a little edge off of a Venus in Scorpio. It took a little bit of that edge or a little bit of that frustration off maybe what we see within other people with Mars in Libra. But that numbing's coming off too. So now we're going to really feel our defining energies of the Sun and Mars, detriment and fall position here. We're going to feel this. So buckle up. It's okay. But it's the wild, outlandish ways that are actually going to prove the most valuable. They're actually going to show you the most beauty. And it's like, that's where you want to initiate from, is the road less traveled. It is not a time to start experimenting with I'll be honest, with what the mass projection onto society is telling you. If you've been holding your line this long, it's likely you're not going to do that. But that side is going to get ramped up. This Pluto is a big deal coming direct. I've been using the analogy of a wrecking ball, and Pluto in that retrograde really hit the apex, and it's coming back down. So it's coming right for America's Pluto at 27 degrees. That's going to be an exact hit on February 22nd of 2022. So we are just marching forward to that, and every day from Tuesday, because not only do we get a new moon on Tuesday in Libra, a couple hours later, Pluto comes direct. We are marching towards that. And this is where we're going to start to see some of the biggest control grabs we've ever seen. There's cycles playing in the background right now. There's a Jupiter-Pluto, a Saturn-Pluto in Capricorn. Like, we live in a cycle now of extreme control, of extreme power and restriction, and we're seeing it every day in our lives. They're trying to push new mandates and orders every day that's trying to keep people down. So this is bigger than just America's Pluto, because we're seeing it on a world scale that this is happening. So it's very important that we reclaim our own power and our own integrity, because the integrity of governments, the integrity of control is hanging, I mean, it doesn't even exist, but you could say it's hanging on by the last thread of its life. And it's going to try and reach for that power. And even with Venus this week finishing up in Scorpio, there's going to be some some moves around money. There's going to be some moves around, what people are doing with their values. And, I think there's a lot that's being hidden when it comes to values. I know firsthand from a few people in my life that have a lot of money that they're diversifying their money into everything they can. And it's not just the standard, like, normal things. It's very Uranus and Taurus. There's some, like, I don't even know what they're called. There's some crazy bonds from some other currency, and they're people with money are eating these things up like hotcakes. And they're not going to tell us this stuff. So everything they tell us, I'll be honest, that's coming through a media with this Neptune retrograde in Pisces in this third decan is all part of the massive spell, and it's all part of the Saturn and Pluto control that we've been seeing in this cycle that we're living. And we're going to be living this cycle for a long time. This isn't something that's just going to end, so this is just the time where, in a lot of ways, the revolution starts. In a lot of ways, this is where it's so blatantly obvious to people who see that there are massive amounts of control trying to manipulate people and trying to overreach for power and control, that it's a matter of who's willing to not play in that system anymore. But at the same time, we have to play in this physical reality. We have to, really be smart. These final degrees of Capricorn with Pluto, it's going to be very intense. It's going to be very intense, and it's going to be tiring. It gets tiring when you get to the end of Capricorn. It is like, gosh, I've been working, I've been dedicating, I've been doing the responsible thing for myself in my life and going on my path of destiny, and I got to climb up this last little valley and this last little peak, and it's like, oh my gosh, it can feel like a roller coaster. But we're going to have to navigate it. And of course, this new moon energy, it's beautiful. A Libra new moon, it's trying to show us the beauty in life. It's trying to show us where we need to balance things out, especially in our personal lives. But it's by doing the different with the quincunx to Uranus, and the different is the weird. So whatever it is that shows up over this next lunation cycle that's weird and different, but it's like, that has value. That actually might bring me something good. I've never done that before. Guess what? That's what's going to bring the harmony into your life, because the same old, that shit's already going out the window. So it's very important this week to be mindful of the signs that are trying to show you the better way. They're trying to take you higher in life. There really is, like, the quincunx energy, it's part of a yod. There's God trying to take so many of us higher right now, but we can't go higher if we are embracing the status quo, the normal, the projection, the spell, if you will, because in many ways that's exactly what we're seeing on our world right now. Like, that's the plague, is people who are just spelled and cannot see or spiritually discern, or even with a North Node in Gemini, logically discern with all the information that has come out that maybe they might want to think for themselves. This Mercury retrograde is definitely helping us find balance when it comes to thinking for ourselves, but it can also get us wishy-washy, and we're going to see a Mercury Cazimi with the sun. That's a pretty powerful thing. And with Mars, we're looking at a helio view here, we're going to see Mars in opposition to the Earth. The Earth would be in Aries with Chiron. Mercury's going to be in Aries with the Earth. So it's Mars, the Sun, Mercury. The Moon will be close, but Moon, Sun, Earth, and then Chiron behind us. So there's a pretty powerful alignment of energy, and a lot of it has to do with healing our wounds about our identity, of not feeling like we can move forward with power and authority for ourselves, for our own personal freedoms. That's a big part of it. The people who are going to thrive in this time are the ones that are ready to own up to their power, to realize that they have put in so much work to get them to this moment now, that they're not going to let things outside of them stop them. They're not going to let people with a Sun and Mars in their fallen detriment dictate their lives to try and, oh no, this is fair and balanced. No, you know what's fair and balanced in your life, and this is where you have to identify with those things. And people, of course, are important in Libra, and this Libra new moon is bringing up relationships big time. But we've been talking about relationships for, 13 days now, and then coming into this week, I mean, it's very important. And the people that you're relating to, the people in your community, the people in your tribe with the air energy that we're seeing in the chart, oh, it's a big deal. So we have to remember that, yes, we have to be powerful within ourselves, but that power comes with how we relate to people that are also in their sovereign power. This is about balance. If you're a sovereign being, guess what you need in your tribe, in your community, in your relationship? Another sovereign being. This is just not one of those times where we just want to try and give piggyback rides. Hey, I got you. We're at this last bit of Capricorn with Pluto here. Hop on. No, we don't want to be trying to save anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is where we have to really get down to business for making sure we're putting ourselves in the right place. And there are people that are doing the same thing that we don't have to get on. You know what? And hopefully that makes sense, because yes, we want to have compassion. Yes, we want to have love, but this just isn't the time to save somebody. This is the time to really progress forward with where your heart, with where you are being guided to spiritually. The people that are meant to reach the top of this mountain are going to reach the mountain with you. So October is very intense. It's very intense. We're seeing Saturn and Uranus in Helio. Oh my gosh, they are just creeping until October 19th, when that's exact, with a Sun and Mars square Pluto. Direct. So that's going to activate. Mars is an activator. So Pluto's just going to come direct. And not this week, but next week, we're going to see Mars and the Sun square that Pluto. It's going to be a major activation. Something is brewing behind the scenes, and it's going to be one of the biggest power grabs and manipulative events in reality we've ever seen. And I think we can kind of pinpoint where that might be. It's pretty obvious with the mandates that are coming out, and a certain something that they want everybody to get, or else you can't live a normal life, even though there's nothing normal about the life they're trying to present to you. Like, literally, they're like, hey, go back to normal, but wear your mask. But you guys already know that. So this is where we have to continue up our mountain this week. We have to continue to push. That's where the beauty is. That's where the harmony is. We're going to see Venus ingress into Sagittarius, and that's going to take some of the numbing off. There's been a little bit of numbing with all this retrograde. It's been like, oh, everything's good, and Venus and Mars were sharing mutual reception. So, it wasn't as like an intense of a Venus in detriment in Scorpio. It wasn't as sort of a debilitated Mars in Libra. They were backing each other up. Like, Venus kind of gave us some of that feminine, like, let's make it happen with Mars and Libra. Mars and Libra's like, yeah, you know what? I'll show my more compassionate, more work with people energy, more of my artistic creative pursuits, and move in that direction. But with that Venus coming into Sagittarius and getting close to the South Node, there's also a comfort to that. Venus does like the South Node, but it's getting tricky. The Mars and Sun combination is pretty powerful, and we're going to have another week of the Mars and Sun together here in Libra. So, gosh, this does give us a lot of energy. Regardless of if they're both in detriment and fall, there is a lot of life force. There's a lot we can do. There's like a competitive nature. There's like, we got to do something. We got to move our energy. And the more we're able to move our energy in a pursuit of beauty and balance and the right equal relationships, to where we're not just dragging people up the top of the mountain, but we're doing it together. And we're building that solid relationship is an easy word, but I wanted to say something else and I lost it. Teamwork is probably the best way to put it. That solid, equal amount of give and take of teamwork between people in our lives is crucial. We're going to need it. We do need people in our lives. And Saturn's teaching us that. Saturn's teaching us that people are so important in Aquarius. And Saturn's going to go direct on Sunday. It's a big deal. We're about to see society get really restricted again. We're about to see big controls over people. We're about to see, probably the biggest splits that we've ever seen in the collective. And, that's part of Aquarius too. It's the two waves, it's the two frequencies. We're really going to see who wants to be on this frequency and who wants to be on this frequency. And again, I'm not here to say which one's right or wrong. I'm just saying whichever one you within your heart and your divine presence within you feels like you need to be on, that is the right one, and you just need to hold your line for that road. For that road, and it's going to be the road less traveled. It's not going to be the road that's projected, like I mentioned earlier. It's the unique way. It's the odd, the unconventional way to beauty and to the top of this mountain that is going to have the payoff, that is going to take you higher in life. And that's what Uranus wants to do here, retrograde in Taurus, is it wants to show us that there's more to value than what maybe we already have been accustomed to over the last 80 years. There's more. Values have evolved. What are the best values now? Is it still going to be the dollar bill? We'll see. There's a lot going on with the dollar bill. There's a lot going on with the debt ceiling. There's, eclipses coming up here with a sun in Scorpio and a moon in Taurus. The nodes are about to shift at the beginning of next year. We're coming into some interesting, financial times are going to be, they're going to be top of the thing. And some people have issues with money, but I think, a lot of spiritual community has really wanted and embraced to attract in that abundance because they know their worth and their value. And this is where you can really attract that in by knowing balance in your life, by knowing and feeling into value. What is valuable to you? What's going to be valuable to a community? This is where we can all start to really embrace our unique attributes in life on a week like this. We all have something unique to offer. We all have something unique to provide to a tribe, to friendships, relationships. And we have to accept that we are not, as humans, we can't just do everything by ourselves. Sure, we could be decent at a bunch of things, but there's always going to be someone that's better at one thing than another person. That's just the way it is. And we want to link up with people who are in their sovereign self and they're feeling strong and they're also in their creative ability right now, because we're going to need that creativity. And Libra is a very creative sign. It's very artistic and beautiful. And that's going to be the goal, is how to find that middle ground of beauty, and in probably the most extreme of Libra seasons that maybe we've ever seen as we come into a Scorpio season in mid-October. So we're right at this middle point. We're coming up this week to the midpoint of Libra season. And really, the new moon's right there at 13 degrees. And let's just say, too, 13 degrees makes a 4. And that's very Uranian, too. So we are in a time of accelerated change. We are in a time of having to really figure out the unconventional, unique path to beauty and harmony and happiness. And it's going to take courage. And Mars is with this new moon this week. There's something about really taking powerful initiative to be in strong relationships, strong community, to be strong in what beauty and balance is to you. These are all things that are going to be crucial this week, because there's just a bunch of things. If you go look out into the world, supply lines, there's ships just sitting off the coast for what? Why are the ships just sitting there? Why don't they dock and unload? Is there any legitimate reason for this? I personally don't know. Maybe there is. I doubt it, though. There's just this agenda. There's just a plan. Like I said, it's going to be power control, power assertion, dominance, manipulation to make people feel like they really need that government. They really need, help me. And guess what? They'll help you. But it's not going to be in a fun way. It's going to be in a very give up your sovereignty, give up your rights, give up everything you've worked for up until this point if you have to go that route. And that's why This North Node next year coming into Taurus is really going to have to teach people. You're going to have to know how to manifest. You're going to have to know how to attract in what you want. And the handouts, the loans, unemployment with the South Node in Scorpio, that's all going to have a power behind it because the dispositor of that South Node will be Pluto coming to America's return. So yes, we're looking at seeing this wrecking ball of Pluto come into America's Pluto. And, this could be a moment where a revolution starts, where there's so many awake right now because consciousness is just going up and up and up, that there is a possible revolution, that there is a sense of, even with Jupiter and Saturn meeting in Aquarius, this sense of civil disobedience. There's something about Aquarius that comes after Capricorn that it doesn't want to be a sheep. It wants to individuate from that system. It wants to do its own thing. It wants to figure out a better way. And that's a 20-year cycle too. So there's a lot of cycles playing here in the background. On one hand, there's this intense, deep control and manipulation of power. And on the other hand, there's a real unique sense of finding better ways. And that takes revolutionaries within us all as individuals. And I think it takes us really holding the line of the frequency that we want, and that is going to show us the benefit. We're going to see Mercury also trine Jupiter this week, and then meet with Mars and the Sun. So our mind in retrograde here is definitely like getting closer to our heart and our power and our assertion, and where we can put all that energy and that life force that we have. But we can't get lost up and just be like, I don't know where to put my energy and my direction, and help me, show me. Like, this is where we got to remember that we know. You know what to do. You can feel it. You know what's going to be best. You've seen the signs. It's all right in front of you, especially with a North Node in Gemini. Like, everything important has shown up right in front of your face, all the information you could possibly need. But were you too stuck in limiting beliefs with a South Node in Sag to believe that? Like, we got to break limits. We got to push our limits. That's the only way. And that's what this Uranian 13 degree with a quincunx to Uranus is saying, is if you want the best, if you want the comfort of a physical world that is completely in shambles and just getting shaken and just the glass is shattering on this table of life, you have to be able to take the individuated road and know that you can manifest it and create it by knowing your worth and your value in the most authentic way for you. And that's going to attract in the right relationships. So this is such an important time with relationships and beauty. But we have to remember too that it's not all about just the hand-me-outs. It's not all about needing someone to push us along or to push other people along. And that might be a hard one, but that one definitely came through kind of strong. Just talking about this. Like, I don't plan any of this out. Like, I just hit record. Like, that one feels really strong. Like, we can't be needing someone to just grab our hand and take us up the mountain either. Like, we really got to dig for our power. And that was probably a lot of the lesson here with the Sun and Mars opposing Chiron that we felt last week and last weekend, is having to really get back to, I can do this. I can. That's very Aries. I can. I am not wounded anymore. I have found my strength. I have found my power, my ability to go in a direction that I impulsively, instinctively, intuitively feel called to. So in essence, we all have to really grab that Emperor energy within us if we're looking at tarot and Aries, and really start delegating our own life and make sure that everybody in our royal courts of that Emperor is delegating their life too to get up this mountain, because it's going to be a rocky road for the next few years. And it starts now. We're going to start to see things just pop off left and right. And I think that there's beauty to that. I think that we're ready to see. I think, a lot of us have been feeling like intuitively we know we're on the cusp of big changes. We know there's something big coming. And it's like, wow, there's little, kind of little things, little big things that keep popping off. Definitely a lot of this could make us frustrated. Seeing things and being like, gosh, that is so frustrating. I can't believe that. Well, it is frustrating, but We have to remember to like take deep breaths to still see the beauty around us, but we need to be smart now. And this Mercury retrograde's helping us with the North Node in Gemini and it being the dispositor is common sense around who we're relating to, about justice is so important, because if it doesn't feel just, if it doesn't feel like it's balanced, it's not. And how long are we going to sit there on the scales and weigh it out? Oh, well, maybe if I give up this right, then well, at least I could have this one. But like, this is the big right, and it's weighing the scales, and they're completely out of order. So this is initiating a big cycle of finding that, real order in our lives of what's going to bring beauty and balance, and how can we get that aesthetic into our life, and it's through the unconventional route. Because everything is about to shatter, and we have to deprogram from what we thought the way was. I think, if you look back a few years ago, maybe a couple years, maybe last year, maybe 10 years, like there was this ideal of what we were going to be doing in this time, looking back, what the world would be like, what society would be like. And it's simply not that. It's a completely new one. And it's not the conventional one. We're coming into the age of Aquarius. We're on the cusp of ages here. Like, we can dream in the end of Pisces and be like, oh, it'll be this way, all we want. But the more we can be objective and smart and use our genius to move forward and to connect, instead of, that's another thing too, is we could get really disconnected with Saturn and Jupiter and Aquarius. Be like, I'm just not going to pay attention to that. I don't like what's going on in the world. I'm just not going to look at it. Like, there's a difference between looking at it and acquiring information with the North Node in Gemini, and then peeling back and figuring out what the best way is, and then just completely, nope, I don't want to see the facts. I just believe, or I'll hope that everything's going to turn out this certain way. So there's a level of presence. There's a level of here that we want to finish this year out and that we want to have for this week in October. Because you can just think about where Pluto was at these degrees of Capricorn. The United people in the United States and the colonies, they have had enough of the overreach of control from Britain. And they got out. They signed their Declaration of Independence. So in a lot of ways, this is a great week to remember that we have to break away for our independence and to not be controlled by the overreach that's going to try and control and restrict. And I don't know how that's going to necessarily look. I really don't. I wish I could just be like, it's going to look just like this. I think there's writing on the wall, but with the Uranian energy like this, it's very hard to predict. It's going to be the last thing we thought of. And that's just what this lunation cycle is going to bring us, is very strange, very weird shots to show us where the ultimate value is and where the ultimate beauty is and the ultimate relationships, where there's a sovereign capability to create on an individual basis. And then the power of those two forces coming together in our lives, one sovereign human, another sovereign human, in their capability to manifest and create. When those two come together, that is power. That is creation. That is extreme manifestation. And I think that's where we could go. That's where so many of us, I think, will go. But, not everybody's going to be on that path. And that's where the extremes are going to come up, because there's going to be more of this Libra energy of extremes, big debate, big opinion, what's just. I know that, people on the shot side, they think that's the just way. They think that's right. They think that that's fair. That's the fair, justified thing to do. And they really believe that. And look, I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. If you believe that's right, if you think in your soul and in your heart that that's okay, then I am with you. You know what? Do what makes you happy. But this is, going to be about forcing issues like that on people that don't within their soul or within their heart want things like that. So it's probably gonna be more of that because that's the big theme of our reality right now. And especially the stuff they're doing with kids and that forcing, like, that's gonna piss a lot of parents off, because there's parents out there that will get it for themselves, but their kid's 5 years old and they're like, why does my kid need to get it? And they'll stand up. So there's definitely, there could be some conflicting interests between, certain people because of what's happening, like where they're actually kind of waking up to it. They're like, wow, I was going along with it to do, to try and keep a sense of normal and balance in my life and routine and what I had before. And then they're going to realize that there's actually a big nerve that gets hit in some fashion or another, where they have to like really come back and see if they're finding beauty and balance in their own life and then getting that reflection back. Saturn coming direct is a big deal. Last year Saturn retrograded back into Capricorn and it went direct there. So this is the first, stationary direct we've seen with Saturn in Aquarius in 28 and a half years. So this is some big, big Aquarian energy. Capricorn, of course, and Saturn, of course, is restriction. So, I would not be surprised if there's, big things that are passed regarding restricting society from a lot of their freedoms, a lot of their rights, a lot of their individual ways forward. I think with the South Node here finishing up in Sagittarius, we're going to see more airplane stuff. There's probably going to be restrictions going on there. So be careful if you're flying around right now. Just be aware that something could change at the blink of an eye, and have a backup plan. And as long as you're aware and have a backup plan, or you're not stranding yourself somewhere, because that North Node in Gemini needs you to have the facts. Like, if you're going to fly somewhere, just be cautious and have a backup plan with facts laid out of how you can get back to your loved ones or whatever you need to do. Just be cautious, because we're really about to see what Pluto, Saturn, and Capricorn was all about. Like, we've only gotten a little taste of it. That's a 38-year cycle. It's a long one. Might be a little more now it's coming into Aquarius. So there's just a lot of overreach for power, manipulation, control, and it's not comfortable energy. So I would say on the bright side is we can all find beauty and balance in our life, but it's by individuating. There's a lot of Uranian energy. The individuation from the system is going to give you the most value. However you can manifest that in your life that makes sense to you will make sense, and it will get you through it, and the relationships too. So it's about having people on that same energy, that same vibe. Like, we got to create something right now. Yeah, we do. And we can. And that's where we could put a lot of energy. I do like the Mars and Sun conjunction this week. I think that that's giving us a lot of can do. It's giving us a lot of strong definition. But it's definition that can't be weighed out. If we're going to really weigh things out that we know are better for ourselves, we're going to get stuck in limbo, almost feeling like purgatory. And we don't want to be in that situation within ourselves. We don't need someone else to just push us up the hill. Remember that. This is where you got to push yourself up the hill. That's going to give you the most justice. We got to remember our own integrity and our own capability, and our own responsibility to ourselves with Pluto coming direct as well. Like, we got to remember that we came here on a mission. We can see, we're awake right now for a reason. We're letting the universe and spirit and God really guide us, and the divine guide us. And we have to trust that and hold that responsibility and that integrity to keep pushing. There's a strong amount of cardinal energy. There's really a lot, the new moon in Libra, cardinal, Mars in cardinal, Mercury retrograde in cardinal, Pluto in cardinal, even Chiron. Chiron's a big part of this week too. So we cannot be, scared to push forward We cannot be scared to take on things in life right now. A lot of life is about, we got to take this on. We can't, bypass this one. Like this is like you're not going to be able to spiritual bypass this part of reality. And that might be a hard one for people to hear, but it just isn't going to work. Like you can go out in the forest and just meditate, but it's not going to, it'll help you. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to knock that at all, but it's bigger than that. It's, really about assertion, like asserting yourself in a way that's going to position you really well in honestly, like what it's kind of a giant game of Monopoly with the Capricorn conjunctions and cycles that started with Pluto. And you got to position yourself on the board right. And you don't want to just, like I said, bypass that. And if you just believe that everything's going to work out, that if you just by doing that, you're going to go into the future here with Jupiter being the dispositor of the South Node here in Aquarius and still retrograde, that your future will just be taken care of if you just believe it will. It might for some people, but I'm telling you guys, this is where we're going to have to be warriors. And our two defining planets, the Sun and Mars, are in a sign that they really both don't want to be in. And I'm not trying to knock Libra. It's beautiful, but this is where we got to be the judge and the jury for the direction we're going as we see the world start to chip away right before our eyes. Everything we thought we knew, like this is going to be the biggest test of if you're willing to deprogram from everything that got programmed into our minds growing up. Again, myself included, like I still have a program running. I think we all do to an extent. We can program ourselves with new programs and then realize that, wow, that program's outdated too. Like I got to upgrade. So a lot of it's about upgrading the program to the current one. Like the universe is going to be playing a very interesting tune and we're going to have to dance to it. You know what I'm saying? And this is the week where we're going to start to have to dance and figure those things out so that we can find beauty. But this is the thing. If we can get in rhythm with the universe and the tune that it's playing and not just blame or fight it or think that someone else caused it, this was all meant to happen. This was all pre-organized by the divine, but there's also a pre-organized plan by a power that we, don't get to see, unfortunately. Smart of them, to be honest. And if we could dance to that tune, which is going to be a weird one, we're going to find a way. We're going to find some really strong connection, some really strong people, some really amazing, beautiful strength in ourselves. And this Mercury is going to help us really get in tune with that as it meets with Mars and the Sun for that Cazimi. And as the Sun burns its message of how to relate and how to find beauty and balance into our life and how to really justify our life and how to justify our life force energies to create, there's something beautiful. There's definitely, this is such an amazing time to be alive. I do want to say that. It's not all doom and gloom. Like, yeah, it's going to look really weird. There's just something about where we're heading that feels so weird. The astrology says it's going to get weird. It's going to get intense. But there's something about meeting that challenge. And we got to embrace Pluto at these last degrees of Capricorn. We got to, we got to go out and kind of risk it. Capricorn's kind of just got to go out there and put it out there and make it happen and take on that responsibility and have the integrity to just keep pushing and to work for it. So it might feel like a lot of work, and we don't want to, shy away from that or bypass it. Because that work's it's going to pay off. That's the thing with Capricorn and Saturn. If you do the work, you get the reward. You get the accolades, the prestige. And I don't know, I'm not necessarily talking about prestige from like a society-based sort of thing. Like, oh, you're famous now. like a spiritual destiny prestige that you kept pushing and followed your truth to the very end because you felt that that was the way that the divine wanted you to go. And you felt it in your heart, you felt it in your gut, and you listened to it, and you had compassion, and you tried to make things even, you tried to make things fair, but you held your ground for what you believed in. And there's a lot of power to that this week. And I think with Venus coming into Sagittarius, this is going to try and kind of show us where relationships can go. Like we've seen sort of the deeper parts that may be about ourselves and others, and maybe things that were kind of like toxic traits from the past, or where we've overreached on control, or where we've been too greedy with love or money in our lives. And we're kind of rising up now. You know, that there's been a lesson learned about value. And now it's about how we can explore that. How we can, take it with us, what we learned, and metamorphosized. That's a good term for this week. There's a lot of metamorphosis with Pluto coming direct. So there's a lot of metamorphosis. And this Venus is slowing down. It's going to go retrograde December 19th. So it's starting to slow down. It's going to spend a longer time in Sag. It's going to spend a long time in Capricorn. We need relationships that are open and growing and free and creative and intuitive. Those are going to be the balanced ones. The ones that have that same vision, they're going to go places. And we have to remember that we can create with our vision too. That we have to believe in our own vision. We have to believe in our own self, our own strength, our own grit in these times. It's going to take some grit. But we're ready for it. Let's go. Like, I truly believe that, you got to kind of own up that you're ready for this now. And I know some people are probably like, I don't even choose to be here this life. Like, I'm ready to be gone. I'm never coming back to Earth. I hear people say that all the time. Look, we came here for a very special reason. And so much about this week and this time in existence and reality is about realizing that special destiny that you came here for. To really be a shining light, to really be a beacon of truth, to stand in your truth, to have love and compassion. There's a sense of humor that we need to have. We need to be able to laugh some of this off. Yes, there's a seriousness, but at the same time, we got to remember to still embrace the love of life, to still embrace every experience and this journey so that we can explore more of it and not feel, Venus coming out of Scorpio is going to feel much better, but it is going to make Mars take a hit in Libra. And that can, make us feel a little weak, or like we need, we need a hand me out or someone to pull us up. And we got to remember that we got this, and we want to use this energy more to be peacemakers for our own liberty and justice and freedom in our lives. But at the same time, Venus taught us, where we need to draw some boundaries too, as it finishes up in Scorpio this week. And it's going to come by the South Node. And again, we can't just believe everything's going to be beautiful and work out. That would be the comfortable thing to do, especially with the dispositor being Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius. Society is just going to figure it out, and I'm just going to go on a vision quest and not worry about anything. I don't think you need to worry. There's no point in stressing yourself out. There's no point in worrying about whatever's showing up in life. But we got to be present, and the present will show the value, and it will show where that journey can expand with the right people in our lives, as we're going to see some powerful energy. So it's definitely time to initiate what's beautiful by taking the unconventional. It's time to realize that you're not wounded, that you have done that work. And yeah, the work's never done, but you have done all the work that was ever necessary for you to thrive right now and to make moves in your life for what's going to give you the most value. And you have to do that to get up this mountain that we're about to climb, as we see reality start to chip away. That program that we've all been running for a long time in our lives is chipping away. And it's going to get really weird if you stay in that chipped up reality. And it's going to get weird even in the other way, but it's embracing the change and seeing the beauty in the change that's going to give us a really positive and beautiful light and beautiful way forward. We're also going to see Mercury retrograde quincunx Neptune again. So, gosh, there's just a level of seeing the beauty in the madness would be the best way to put it, but it's going to feel very spelled. It's going to feel very weird. And you're going to have to understand and have some sort of logical conception of just your spiritual path. And if you're going to question or weigh out your spiritual destiny and where the divine's trying to call you, it's going to be weird. And I do think that there's going to be weird stuff that comes out this week. We're going to see, and I think that Neptune quincunx Mercury might actually bring out some of the weirdest mandates or reaches for control that we're about to see, but it's all coming. So, as we start to see this world chip away, remember that you were built for it. And just because that world's chipping away doesn't mean that you can't build your foundation and your skills and sharpen your version of life to bring in the most beautiful and balanced version of that life, because you've done the work to be here. And it's not a time to question that. It's a time to thrive in that. But you got to own that 100%. See what the cards say for this week. 10 of Cups in reverse. It could feel like everything we ever thought was the most comfortable, fulfilling, perfect life that might not even be a thing anymore. This is where we got to look at the completely new route to our securities and what's going to make us feel the best and give us the most fulfilling life with the family, with the friends, the relationships. You know, it's going to take decisions. And I don't think just like, I'll just stay here and see. Gotta kind of like own up to your level of responsibility to have those things. Why'd we get that? The Six of Swords. It's time to sail off and go to the unknown. It's time to go adventure out there and be like, yep, this is the unconventional path. I haven't taken a boat across anything in a while to get where I needed to go. Maybe that's what you have to do. Maybe it's just the path less traveled, like I mentioned before. And that's actually where the ultimate beauty and emotional satisfaction is going to come from. The overall is the 7 of Cups in reverse. Got to narrow the options down. This is just not a time to wait things out. There's big moves. There's things taking place in life that are going to test us to see if we're ready to go into the new and the sort of uncharted territory, or if we're just going to, I guess I'll just take this because that's all I get. Is it? Is it just because that's what it was told to you? You can only have this option? Or you can only choose between this, this, and this, but they all suck? No. Last card. 8 of Swords in reverse. Or 8 of Pentacles in reverse. We can't be afraid to keep working towards the future and dedicating and grinding it out. We got to keep grinding to get the reward. And it's just, this is where, from here on out, it's a grind. And we can't be scared of that grind because we're feeling sensitive. We have to be strong. Strength is so important right now, as on an individual level. And the strength will bring the beauty, and it's going to help every bit of the way as you realize your power to create and take the unconventional route to get everything you need that's going to keep you sustainable and afloat in this reality. I love you all so much. I definitely want to give a shout out to the Leo King. I want to give a shout out to Robert Phoenix and Christopher Witecki. I appreciate their work so much. I want to give a shout out to Coyote Star Astrology. Alex is the shit too. Definitely appreciate those astrologers so much. If you don't follow them or pay attention to their work, they're all amazing. And I want to give a shout out to them. All of you for watching. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you for tuning in for this. What did it end up being? A 50-minute talk on the week in the astrology. And this is just my channeled interpretation. I go into the charts all week, but this is just what comes through when I look at where we're going. And it definitely is related to the astrology, but it didn't come out of a book necessarily either. So remember that. If it resonates, I appreciate you so much, and I will catch you for the tarot and the weekly, daily, all that soon. I love you all. Have a great week. We got this. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.